Sitting in the bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old style beers out at the game. Let's go Cubbies on Ranto
with Michael,
Ranto
and Crawley,
Ranto and the lovable losers. Ranto
with Michael,
Ranto
and Crawley,
Ranto and the lovable losers. Ranto. Happy days are here again. Don't know the rest of the words of that song, but happy days are here again. Now get us a shortstop.
I don't know about happy days, less bad days.
Yeah.
not as horrible. That doesn't work well for songs.
No, it doesn't.
Not as horrible a day.
So, no, that was welcome to the Sun Ranto Show. I'm Danny Rocket. Michael Cotton's here. Crawley's here. We got to get right into it. It's shocking the baseball world, especially the pathetic excuse for fans that Cub fans have been the last few days. Sorry, stacks of shit, crying about it every day on Twitter. And then what happens this afternoon? We see there's a kind of that's not even cryptic. It was just something that Matt Spiegel had heard through his people he knew. Hey, it's hot and heavy with Marcus Stroman. This might really happen. And then it happened. And Stroh broke his own news, said, Chicago, were you shocked? I was shocked.
Oh yeah. I was at the gym with my kids, playing some racquetball. I completely missed a point because my phone was blowing up and I was trying to figure out what was going on. And I was happy to lose at racquetball because the Cubs actually signed a good player.
It's funny when you say people crying about this or that. No, man, we were holding their feet to the fire. We were going to say that it wasn't going to be acceptable. And the fact is they got it done. We're about 5 hours away from locked out baseball. No moves being made. So you want to talk about getting it in under the wire? Good. But I will, if anyone's looking for an apology for Tom Ricketts.
It's not happening on this show anyway.
Not on this show, man.
I like what Little Yumper says in the chat. It's not crying when you are speaking truths about the way the organization has handled free agency the past 3 years. I mean, this is such an unfamiliar feeling to even get somebody. I mean, when's the last? Darvish probably was the last one. That was 2018. I believe that was the last time that there was like a really large free agent. I guess you could count Jock Peterson, but not really. He was
that was the last time the Cubs signed a multi-year deal of any sort.
Was you Darvish?
Well, yeah. I guess, yeah. No, I think didn't Descalso get 2 years?
Yeah, Descalso got 2 years, and then
so maybe that was later, but that might have been. I don't.
We
know.
all know what we're talking about. An actual deal. Like this is going to be the guy on the team, and we haven't seen the details of this. Have you? Anybody seen the details of this deal yet?
Not yet. No.
I heard
if you know in the chat, deals.
Let us know.
Again, they were comparing it to the Gray deal or the Gossman deal, kind of looking around that amount. And look, here's the situation: is that when Theo was here, he even told us, "Don't accept less than the best." Because we deserve that we are the most loyal fucking fan base. And yeah, you are going to sit there and watch everybody getting taken off the board and be panicky because here was the situation. You walked into free agency. You could have closed your eyes and thrown a dart on a board of position needs, and you would have gotten something correct. Oh, we need a shortstop. Oop, hit right fielder. Yeah, you need everything.
We have 17 second basemen, though. We have that covered.
We
even though the depth chart says there's only one player on the team.
Sergio Alcantara, but again, I'm going to take it and enjoy it because we haven't had it for this while, but not done. It shouldn't be done. A lot of work still to do, more pitchers to get, position players. Don't know if they're going for a shortstop, but no, we're we're going to sit there and we have expectations as fans. I don't want to go back to fighting for 4th or 5th place.
Yeah.
I don't want the season being done at the end of April. I want to see the Cubs being a top tier organization, period.
Well, let me put up his. Go ahead,
let me piss in everybody's Wheaties here real quick, though, and just say it's not enough. I mean, Stroman's not enough. That doesn't change a ton.
It might be enough to win the Central if you start looking up and down the Central. Now, that's a different thing than going, and Jed said this when he spoke the other day, that they weren't going to go to try to win the World Series. Well, they were just going to try to get into this like 83 team playoff round robin tournament that they're going to make up in the next couple months.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not like they just changed the whole world. It's good to see that they did something, but my guess is that they weren't planning on doing anything, and then all of a sudden, teams started signing people. I think they were caught flat-footed, thinking nobody was signing before the CBA.
I had that feeling. Like their philosophy going into this was like, we're going to wait. We've got a tabula rasa here, clean slate, and we're just going to wait and see what the CBA says, and then we're going to sign people. And that was maybe a luxury for a team to have. But when people start snatching up guys on these long-term deals, and then you look down, like, have you looked at the free agency list for the next couple of years? It ain't cute. Yeah, Michael Cerami tweeted out the other day, and there were only a few people even under 30 years old, and not that Marcus Stroman's under 30. He's not. Little Yumper says 580 is what I had seen floating around. I heard that on somebody was having a Twitter space that I went on, and somebody said 580 was what that was getting thrown around, which would be in a little bit more than the great deal, I think. Let me put up his numbers here just so we know what we're talking about. He opted out in 2020, so there was no season for him. He opted out pandemic year. Last year with the Mets, he was 10-13 with a 3.02 ERA, not too shabby. Led the majors in games started with 33, 179 innings pitched. That's really good these days. He's gone over 200 innings twice in his career in 16 and 17 back when he was with Toronto. And you know, the strikeout to walk ratio, I mean, it's good. I mean, he's not like the greatest pitcher that ever exists. He's like a good number 2 and number 1 on a lot of teams, maybe even number 1 on this team right now. But you know, when you look at his bases on balls per 9, it's 2.2, strikeouts 7.9 strikeouts per 9. That's not so bad. And he had a 1.33 ERA plus. He's got a 1.16 ERA plus for his entire career. And
Danny, I know you got this. I know you got the stats up here, and those are all great and everything, but he brings intangibles that this team desperately needs. When you let John Lester walk, that was a lot of leadership and respect that he commanded from the pitchers. Again, there are certain guys that are leaders throughout the team, but some, you know, with the pitching group, and then there's the bullpen group, and then there's the position players, you know what I mean? The starting pitchers, position players, bullpen. You know, to have a guy like Stroman who commands a lot of respect, you have a lot of young guys that you're going to be counting on for the next couple of years. Hendricks has never been a rah-rah leader guy. We all know that, okay? So you got a guy that can sit there, and yeah, it's great because Maddox was never that guy. Greg Maddox was never the rah-rah, that kind of guy. Very similar in, that's why a lot of comparisons are always made to Maddox, is very similar in demeanor. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But sometimes, especially with young players that they're going to be counting on, the pitchers, it's going to be good to have a guy like Stroman to kind of, you know, remember how much Alzolay got from talking with Arrieta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if there's one good thing that came out of that whole Arrieta signing, it was that relationship and the lessons that Alzolay took away from it.
And so get vaccinated.
Right. I was just going to say, did he share his COVID with him as well?
I will say that having Stroman is going to be a benefit for the, you know, when you talk about Justin Steele, when you talk about Alzolay, when you talk about these guys that are going to be younger, that they're hoping make a difference. Yes.
Yeah. And I just love it. You know, there's been a lot made. I mean, a lot of people call them difficult, you know, but tenacious people are difficult because they're there to win. And, you know, but I want to know over under on how many months before him and Wilson get into a brawl in the clubhouse. You know, I could see, I could that, you know, these are a lot of that somebody said on that, on that space I was listening to. They're like, they could totally see a Barrett Zambrano 2.0, like big old fist fight. And I don't want to jinx anything here, but we have, but I like that. I like that kind of spark. I like.
I hope they band together and just fucking lock that
us
locker
against
room
the
down.
world.
And I don't, obviously we're going to talk about the Jan Gomes signing, and Wilson kind of likes to mess with people on Twitter with the airplane emojis and all that shit. But here's the thing is that, I don't think Wilson's going anywhere. And I don't think when you say Zambrano versus Barrett and stuff like that, Zambrano was a lunatic, normal, nice guy. But when he got in between the lines, it was all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, chucking baseballs at the crowd.
Right. He was that. That's not Stroman. He's fire. Again, you saw Lester could be fiery.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the type of things that you see with those type of guys. So no, I'm not at all concerned about it at all. And I think Wilson is going to be around for the long haul as well.
So here's a couple of things in the chat right now. Little Yumper writes in, and thanks for doing this, you guys, because this is all obviously breaking as we were speaking. 3-71 for Stroman. I've been opt out after 2. So that's a pay. That's much more money than the John Gray money at that point.
AAV is definitely.
Yeah, and there might be details
20,
in there.
23.
Yeah, that's a lot more. There might be details in there that we don't understand, and there's also, I guess, Passon had that.
So it's $25 million in 2022, $25 million in 2023, and $21 million in 2024. It includes $2 million escalators for 160 innings pitch in 22 and 23,
which he's likely to hit.
180 this year, and he's done it a bunch. And I mean, he took all of 2020 off. He's not going to be, I'm just going to guess he's not a anti-vaxxer, sort of like, leading people down that wrong road.
No, he didn't even want any part of this season like that, where he's like, no, I'm going to take care of myself and my family. And then the other thing, Drew Barry says, per Bruce Levine, the Cubs are showing interest in several other free agent pitchers and could sign another one before the deadline tonight. So.
That would be a surprise, a real surprise.
If they gave us 2. Well, I hope it breaks during the show because this is great for publicity.
Content.
Can we move on to Jan Gomes? Because as soon as Jan Gomes was announced, they get him for 2 years, $13 million.
We may as well. The Ricketts have. No more Contreras. They've moved on to Jan Gomes.
Well, no, the fans did instantly. Even Wilson Contreras moved on from the Cubs the moment that they said, look what he tweeted out. As soon as Jan Gomes gets signed, Wilson's on an airplane somewhere else. And I'm like, what the hell, Wilson? Like, did you miss the part where the Cubs said that you needed a decent backup? Now, $6.5 million is a lot of money to pay for a backup catcher. But, with the DH coming.
Well,
and it's coming. Coming.
You die for saying stuff like that.
But with the DH coming, the
DH isn't coming, but if you really want to talk about
Wilson can play first.
Yeah, I was going to say Schwindel is their first baseman, and who's their backup first baseman? The Reichman or whatever his name is.
Hap.
And whatchamacallit, Frank Schwindel's not the greatest defensive first baseman at all.
I mean, no, we're not missing anything. But
and I don't know anything about Gomes at first base either, but generally first base is a position a catcher can handle pretty well. So at least you have somebody there.
Well, Gomes is a better defensive catcher, which this team was sorely missing last year. They had 12 backup catchers or something like that. It was ridiculous.
8 backup catchers, I think.
Yeah, it's too much. And Wilson, once again, slowed down when he caught too much. And that is just the way that works because you're in the game all the time and something's going to suffer. And it was his hitting. This guy's more of a defensive catcher than an offensive catcher, but he's not that bad. I mean, with the bat too, check him out with his total. He was with Washington and Oakland last year, but he had an OPS of 98, OPS plus of 98. It dialed it up a little bit, which was a little
for
better
a catcher.
Washington.
For a catcher, that's great. That's,
The other thing that he gives you is great pitch framing. And we've talked about that being the Achilles heel of Wilson Contreras, is he's gotten better, but by better, we mean not awful.
Yeah, he's gotten to like regular
ish.
Yeah, I think he's at like 15 or 16 in the league. So he's like right in the middle of the league or something like that now.
Check out where Jan
maybe
Gomes,
not even that high. I don't know.
Check out where Jan Gomes played in 2016. Cleveland, and guess who? Mr. Hawkins, our new general manager, was working at the time and did a lot of pitching development. And think about that rotation, that Cleveland rotation. Jan Gomes was there that whole time. So we got a lot of young pitchers with a lot of talent.
Jan Gomes was in the on-deck circle when Michael Martinez hit a slow roller to Chris Bryant.
And then what happened?
Yeah. Nice.
Landed safely in the glove of Anthony Rizzo, and the Cubs ended the longest course in professional sports.
So Crawley, you're talking about the pitch framing of Jan Gomes as well, and how that, Wilson's getting better, but we've been talking, I don't know, 5 years about signing some sort of like veteran backup that's good on defense to sort of help him out, somebody to talk to about this. Do you think they finally did it?
There was just the backup catcher was such a disaster last year. Okay, we're throwing in what's his name, Caratini. It was such a disaster. There's no way.
It's been a disaster since Wilson Contreras was the backup catcher.
You had guys like Alex Avila and other guys that were not bad. This last year was an absolute train wreck, and you really hurt Wilson in the process. And you couldn't do that 2 years in a row. You can't go through.
We saw those numbers last week. We talked about it a little bit, and I think he needs to be around that 125 game mark behind the plate, so that he's not just killing himself.
And now maybe they could do it even better, because with the DH, move him around the field, different things he can do.
Stop with the fucking DH.
I'm just saying.
Oh my God, you sound like fucking Tim Stebbins.
I'm just saying
that motherfucker. Every chance he gets, DH is coming next year. He doesn't know shit. Nobody knows shit about DH coming next year. And fucking, I hate hearing. I hate everybody like, well, it's just going to happen, so let's just be fine with it. Fuck that is not fucking happening. Nobody, look, this shit, it's not going to fucking happen. We're going to get 150 teams in the goddamn playoffs, and there's going to be no DH.
We're getting that too, and we're also
kidding. Plus, quit talking about a fucking DH because it's not a position. Nobody's ever used it as a position. It's never been a fucking position. It's been a position for like 3 teams a year. And, because nobody wants a player that's the only fucking thing that they can do.
Well, you could go full on. Vogelback is available, and you could use it as a position like the old days when you just got the big fat slugger out there and don't make him play the fields and really make it a position. Like that's your position. Listen, I don't like the DH as much as the next guy, but everybody's building their team as.
But don't talk about it. This is what they've done to people. They've just fucking hammered away and hammered away and hammered away that the fucking DH is coming. So now everybody just thinks, oh, the DH is coming. No, they fucking tricked you. They've gaslit every goddamn baseball fan in the world that is just on the way. It's just fucking coming. We don't have to put up with this shit. So many people don't want it, but they're just like, Danny, you're like, you don't want the DH, and yet you're like, well, DH come next year, so fuck.
I think you're wrong that so many people don't want it. I think that there's a fair amount of people that really
fucking
do
50-50.
want it.
It's 50-50 as it's always been. Every time they do a poll, it's fucking 50% AL fans want the fucking DH and NL fans don't. And if you're a fucking NL fan and you want the DH, you're not an NL fan. You're an AL fan that happens to fucking watch an NL team, and I don't even understand what you're doing. There's another fucking team in Chicago. Go watch their asses. They have a DH.
Well, either way, we got a guy who could DH next year in Clint Frazier as well, if he could see, that is. Moving on to the next guy. Um, yeah, Clint Frazier, okay, now I like this guy. All right. I mean, I really do. As soon as they announced this signing of Clint Frazier, I was like, just scrap heap bullshit. And then I looked into it a little bit more. And what I noticed was, before I put his stats up, is that look at that head of hair that he's got. That nice bright red
Danny,
curly hair.
no one's looking at his picture right now.
So I mean, it's been a while, maybe since Matt Merton. Since
Crawley,
Matt Merton,
we probably have 3 women out there that watch the show. So
what are you guys talking? Oh, his girlfriend? Oh yeah, they got engaged in July. Kaylee Gambadoro. Anyway, that's her name, Kaylee Gambadoro. They're there. Look at that head of hair on that guy.
I'm not looking at him. I'm not looking at him again.
He could play Annie in Little Orphan Annie in the live action Annie that's going on tomorrow.
Here's the thing that what you like about it is he has pedigree, blue chip prospect, first rounder. There is promise there. What worries about you is that something between the ears sometimes with that guy, I mean, is a little goofy.
Well, I'll tell you, and it might be physical, because he had a concussion in 2018 that kept him out most of the year. And then he was, I guess, fine, because, he had a 1.8, 111 OPS plus. He had an 806 OPS, hit 12 dongs that year. Pretty slugged pretty well, had a bunch of doubles. And then 2020, he was on fire. Yeah. I mean, just killed it. He had a 394 OBP. You couldn't get him out. It was incredible. He was the best player on the Yankees. No, I don't know that for 150 OPS plus, though, but that's 2020. Only 131 at bats, 160 plate appearances. So he drew his walks.
Yeah.
Last year, he had to take himself out of games because he couldn't see and he was really dizzy and he had vertigo.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue with Frazier, is that he just doesn't, his health, you don't know what he's going to do. I mean, the most he's ever played in a single season was 69 games. Nice. And like everyone else, he's only done that once.
I'm just looking at things and with his, I don't know, I'm not saying he's Milton Bradley, but he kind of just seems to be one of those guys with like a screw loose. You know what I mean? That just doesn't seem 100% right.
Has all hair.
Right. And Josh Hamilton. Gingers make me uncomfortable, but how many gingers do we have watching? I'm just absolutely killing our market right now. But
I know there's the guy at the top of the show there.
But he had a lot of trouble with the media, which I know the New York media is a little bit tough. There was obviously the haircut situation he made a big deal out of, which everyone knows that's stupid with the Yankees. Can't have long hair, can't have a beard. So when you see him in Mesa when the season starts in June, he's going to be absolutely looking like a Bushman. And then the other thing that there was like a complaint, and the Yankees
Bushman.
What he ends up doing is he supposedly asked the Yankees if he can wear number 7. Those of you unaware, that is Mickey Mantle's retired number. Yeah. The Mick.
Hey, it doesn't hurt to ask.
And so
I heard he asked if he could wear 14 with Chicago.
Right. And so he asks if he can do that. And they're like, well, it's a very important retired number. And he's like, yeah, but if the guy's not around, you can unretire it, right? And he was like,
yeah. And then he ended up wearing 77 just to fucking rub it in.
He's like 2 mantles.
Yeah. And 77, of course he wants 14.
With his vision issues, it probably turned into 17, at some point. But it's I agree with that. I mean, either way, they only paying him $1.5 million.
Right. It's a great move. It's what we thought they were going to do, which were these low risk, high reward maneuvers. And if all of a sudden he takes off and does really great and the season's not going your way, maybe you flip him and get something good.
And if he plays his cards right, Crazy plays in Chicago, right? Dennis Rodman, fucking Steve McMichael, these are guys in other other sports that
Mitch
have
Williams.
owned Mitch Williams. If you're good on the field and you're crazy, I mean, they're going to love you in Chicago.
I like
Jim
what
McMahon.
I like what Cornerstone 23 says. Frazier is a true flyer. I wish they had basically signed as a minor league invite so people don't count on this guy as a real piece. He's as fluky as Wisdom and Frank right now. I mean,
there's no doubt about that, but he also has options.
yeah,
And that's a huge
right.
deal. Is you can easily send him to Iowa. It's not a problem.
and
You
he's
don't right. You don't have to keep him up.
under
That's
team
great.
control until 25, 1.5 million. He was arbitration. He's still arbitration eligible. So like, you know, it's kind of a good deal. And if it works out great, then it works out great. But either way, I'm just happy we got a guy like this with such a nice head of hair on that noggin of his. Just
as fuzzy
so
as fuzzy as he is, not a single speck of hair anywhere else on his body.
yeah, he's got lots of freckles though. He gets a tan when they all connect. It's pretty incredible.
He's right. It's not a tan. It's just more freckles popping up.
Just more freckles, just all connecting together. So before we move on to another actual minor league signing, lefty reliever Locke St. John. Oh God, that's a baseball name if I ever heard one.
That's a porn star name. What are you talking about? Baseball name.
Yeah, well, yeah. To take your favorite Saints and the last thing that no. So no,
Here's your underwear.
Yeah. here's a quick commercial. We'll be right back. If you're like most Americans, you buy shit. Lots of shit. Sometimes you buy shit for other people. Sometimes you buy shit for yourself. And sometimes you buy shit you have to buy just to stay alive. So why not buy shit through the Sunranto affiliate? Links at sunranto.com/shopping. We've got tons of shit you can buy. Go to sunranto.com, click on the shopping link, then click our ads and buy shit. We've got Amazon. They've got tons of shit. But you can also buy MLB shit, NBA shit, NFL shit, Fans Ed shit, Southwest Airlines shit, Fanatic shit, Reebok shit, Wine of the Month shit, Beer of the Month shit, Bear Mattress shit, StubHub shit, Lid shit, Sports Memorabilia shit, Volcanica coffee shit, Vibrator shit, Condom shit, Bag shit, NHL shit, and Audible membership shit. There's a whole lot of shit that can help the Sunranto Show stay on the air so we can keep talking shit. So buy shit today through sunranto.com/shopping. Thanks. Cubs Jesus thinks you're the shit. Okay, Locke St. John, the
Sorry, I'm gonna laugh every time I hear the name.
the new greatest name on the Cubs. He's got to be, right? At least on the 40 man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking at the 40 man now.
I don't even know who's challenging.
He's really good. That's a really great name. But we've kind of heard that a bunch. So maybe it's just kind of recency bias. I want a new name. So, but Locke St. John might not even be with the Cubs. But
Locke St. John is a Cardinals player name, right?
Oh yeah,
that's the Japanese random American baseball
at
name
the end
generator.
of the Nintendo baseball game. I mean, I looked him up a little bit. He's a minor, basically. It's a minor league signing, but he's a lefty. And let me put up his numbers because he had a cup of coffee. He's old for a guy. I mean,
he's old when the entire screen just disappeared behind a bunch of towns that we've never heard of.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. He was with 4 different teams, like 1 year, 3 different teams, another. So this is his minor league stats. This is a lot of minor league stuff. And he's a strikeout guy, but unfortunately, he's also kind of a walk guy. He's 75 strikeouts in only 59.1 innings. He's a lefty. He's got like a weird 3/4 delivery wrist snap looking thing. So I think he hides the ball really well. But not a lot of velo, fastball slider change. So, I mean, I don't know. This guy he had a cup of coffee with Texas last year, and that got him to the show. He's from the Tigers organization. And I don't know, his stuff really does. It might be one of those situations where his stuff plays really well in the minors, and then he hasn't had a chance. But with this Cubs bullpen, you're at least going to get a lefty. Being a lefty, and we just lost Rex Brothers to the Brewers, so now he's going to be lights out and have a scoreless inning streak for at least against the Cubs. But so you stockpile your lefties, you get everybody you can, and you see how it kind of plays. So, but this is a good little signing. Picked him up. Non-tenders, Jason Adam, Trevor McGill went to the Twins, which I mean, that guy had some good stuff. He was one of the few dudes with like some serious velocity, right? But he just got hit.
Yeah.
Was it too straight? Like everybody
No
knew it was
movement.
coming, no movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I already said Rex Brothers signed with the Brewers, so he gone, as Hawk Harrelson would say.
As Hall of Famer Hawk Harrelson would say.
And then now we're gonna get
now Crawley's gonna get pissed.
Now Crawley's gonna rant, yeah. And then I guess which was the precursor to the Clint Frazier signing, getting rid of Michael Hermosillo, which he was tearing it up last year in AAA. Finally got a shot, got hurt, was good, I guess. I mean, he did fine. And then he got hurt, and then they just let him go. So I don't know.
They got rid of Hermosillo, who is basically a fourth outfielder, right? And then they've signed 2 fourth outfielders now with Clint Frazier and the wrong Ramirez, right?
Yeah, Harold Ramirez. And so if you look at the depth there with the outfielders, you got Hayward, which who knows what he's going to do next year. Ortega, Happ, and Ramirez, and then Frazier, and then maybe like that guy Dykeman, who's
they're hanging their hat on Ortega. He's the future.
I get. I mean, if the new CBA comes through, I think he's instantly a free agent at this point. Because he's 31. They're trying to do it by age instead of service time, but or both. So I don't know. Nothing really major with that news, but the big other major news I think we should talk about is Javier Baez signing with the Tigers. 6 years, $140 million, can opt out after 2. And it seemingly, from what the rumored numbers were, took less to play for the Tigers than the Cubs offered. Maybe that offer stopped after, the winter of 1920. That's when those conversations were being had.
The winter of 1920. Way back.
So when
people offered him a Model T and a handshake, and
when people talk about what Baez took, you had a situation where he was, looking that the Cubs supposedly made him offer in the winter, before the season of 2020, and then everything went to shit, as we all know, and Baez had an awful 2020 season. And 2021, he was kind of just all over the place, up, down, hot, cold, no consistency. When he looked good, he looked great. When he looked bad, he looked awful. And so I think it's one of those situations where, should he have taken the deal that the Cubs gave him? Yeah, but he was coming off a high. And the thing is what they say is that Javi's people say that the Cubs never came back. Usually you kind of get into this back and forth and you kind of end up someplace in the middle of what you're looking for. And that the Cubs made their one offer, the pandemic hit, no more offer was made.
That seems to be the Cubs' MO. We're going to give you one offer, take it or leave it. And if you don't take the fucking one thing that we do, we're walking. That seems to be, that's kind of what fucking KB was sort of talking about, like they're giving him a chance for the one thing. And then they're just like, nope, after that.
Well,
but we don't know what the terms of that deal were. Did he turn down? I heard it was in the 160s. Did he actually turn down the 160s, or did he turn down 10 years for 160? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and
I don't know what that was.
And no trade clauses, opt-outs, things like that. So you've got to, he wants to play for the Tigers, and that's a rebuilding team right now.
But Danny, we watched them, and they had some fun young players there. Could be on the up and rise there.
I followed, I looked into this a little bit, found a Detroit paper talking about it. And, they basically said they need defense. They've got a young pitching staff and they need defense behind them. And they've been really bad at the shortstop position. So, they're hoping that Javi anchors that defense. And then, I mean, my concern is the size of that field. We all know that Javi can crush a ball out of any ballpark in the majors, but that's a big field. It's just,
So we'll have to
And-
hit inside the park home runs. And
Right.
So
That's
maybe,
gonna be
maybe,
fun
maybe
to
he'll be a
watch.
double king. He'll be a double king like
Triples.
Castillo was. Triples, right?
Yeah.
No, so that would be wonderful if he just brought the triple back all by himself.
Triple's the best play in baseball. I saw Luis Medina talking about that. We used to talk about that all the time backstage and outside the Ivy about how much we love triples. Like,
Yeah.
it really is a good play. I love Little Yumper writes in, Stroh is on marquee right now. So if you're watching us, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you because Stroman's on. But thanks for tuning in.
Oh, he's not saying
I
he's not
stopped
saying
watching.
anything.
I stopped watching after you put the whatchamacallit picture up. I've been keep going back to the brand.
Yeah, sorry for those on the podcast, but that who didn't get to see. What
Yeah, we
Clint's
really are sorry you missed that.
fiance looks like, but seems like a nice person. But he's got a great head of hair. So, okay, I mean, I was sad about Javi, but you know,
I'm happy that he got the money.
I'm
Though.
glad he got the money.
So many people were down on him, saying that he was going to get they're like, oh, he'll be lucky to get 80 million. All this bullshit.
Yeah.
He's got a deal for 23 million AAV a year. Fucking way to go, kid.
Let's look at it this way here. That 2016 team meant so much to all of us that if you did not cry at some point during the World Series, after the World Series, the week after, you're not a Cub fan. That meant the world to so many of us. And those players that played a key role will always have a special place in our heart. And it's hard to watch them go other places and see them in a different uniform. It's like when you see Ron Santo in a White Sox uniform. It's like when you see Billy Williams in an Oakland A's uniform. It doesn't look right. That being said, okay, these guys are like girlfriends, right? You have this girlfriend, you love her, everything's great. You break up, and that's hard, okay? But now you see her with some other dude, and you feel like shit, and that sucks. Now we got Stroman. It eases the pain a little bit. Like, oh, we got a new girlfriend too. She's really cool too. Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like it makes it easier.
See, I disagree. I sort of disagree there. I think the Ricketts have fucking spoiled, just ruined everything so much that it's like seeing your best friend get away from his abusive father. It's like, good, fucking get away. Go live somewhere else. I'm glad you got a new dad. Just fucking go and enjoy that. That's I'm happy that these guys are getting out of here because look, the rats are fucking fleeing the ship. And the rats are the good guys in this fucking scenario because, the Ricketts are just toxic assholes fucking everything up.
Whether or not it's a good decision to move on from the entire core all at the exact same time, because that could prove to be an incredible decision as these guys decline. It really could.
Absolutely.
But even if it wasn't a great decision, even if they made the decision to have kept one just for old time's sake or something like that, what shocks me is that they didn't have enough goodwill with any of those players to get a deal done, with especially somebody like Chris Bryant. You had him here. He was the best of all of them with an Anthony Rizzo, who's going to age just fine over there at first base. Even though if his back hurts, you get him a backup. You know what I mean? You got the DH coming. And
even Pujols at 67 years old can play some fucking first base.
I was watching Pujols play the other day. He's down in the Dominican. He doesn't care that he made all this money. He wants to go play baseball. He's doing
just a ball player.
Yeah, he's just a ball player. He's going down there. You don't see any freaking white kid from California running down there after he's 40 years old.
How many countries did Manny Ramirez play in after his MLB career?
And he's from New York.
Speaking of that, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but Mitty Minoso played baseball in 7 different decades.
Yeah.
From the 40s to the 2000s. He played professional baseball, at least 1 or 2 at bats in each decade. The last time he was 77 years old, and he's like, this is fun. I'm going to go fucking draw a walk.
Well, just a couple more of these things that went around in the major leagues. Rangers spending money. They got Semien and Seager and
$500 million.
Yeah, and John Gray. The Mariners got Cy Young and winner Robbie Ray. They're kind of going for it. They're rumored after Bryant. Scherzer and Starling Marte to the Mets. That billionaire still spending money. Cohen. They got also Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar, just a little more like placeholder guys. Gausman went to the BJs, the Blue Jays. And then there were a couple. There was a Sandy Alcantara. The Marlins are kind of going for it. So Sandy Alcantara, they signed a big extension, and then Avisail Garcia, he went from the Brewers. So the Brewers lost him, and there was a bat in their lineup that will no longer be there. And now he's going to be with the Marlins. They might have overpaid his ass, though. It seemed like it was like pretty good deal for him. I mean, he's a decent player, but I mean, I don't know.
So I feel like with all the action that just happened, with all these teams really going deep in their pockets for a lot of these guys, the owners don't feel good going into this negotiation. You know, they're like, let's get them now, because when we get out of this fucking thing, we're gonna the luxury tax is going to go way up, or it's going to be gone. We're going to have to spend a bunch of money anyway. Things are going to change. We're going to get taken to the fucking woodshed in this one because we've won the last two. And these guys are smart, unlike the fucking Ricketts sitting around with their thumb up their ass, like, let's find out what's going to happen. Like, we feel like we're going to have a good time and we're going to fucking make some money. Everybody else is like, we're going to get our asses kicked. Let's go get some of these guys now because we're going to have the room later, because the Rangers are going to be like, we don't need a fucking luxury tax. The Mets, we don't need a luxury tax. All these teams that are spending a bunch of money, those owners are on the player side now.
Well, we'll talk all about the luxury tax and what the owners and players want after this commercial break.
Do you like having sex? Me too. That's why I always wear my Son Ranto swag shirts every time I'm looking to get some. It's the only t-shirt guaranteed to get you laid. Knock boots in your shankless shirt. Bump uglies in a Ranter long sleeve. Ride the skin-busted Tuna Town in a Dabbing Cubes fan shirt. Take gold one-eye to the optometrist in your bull penis awesome attire, or smash pissers in a Spagog shirt. Son Ranto swag shirts are just like people. There are many different sizes and colors to choose from. Plus, at Son Ranto's swag store, you'll find vintage John Baker Day, designated hater, and Matt Cameron drawn rally titty designs on everything from shirts and hoodies to baby onesies, bags, and hats. Go to sunranto.com/swag and check out all the sexy styles guaranteed to get you laid. You'll be stuffing the soft taco in no time. sunranto.com/swag, guaranteed to get you laid.
Wearing Son Ranto swag products not guaranteed to get you laid. Son Ranto swag is not responsible for your sex life. Son Ranto swag is for entertainment purposes only. So, Crawley, I saw you tweet out yesterday some of MLB's terrible ideas, and Michael, you were in on that thread a little bit. Ads on uniforms, that was something the players actually suggested, I think, the way to generate income for the whole league and for the players and for themselves. And which I don't hate that, but I thought it was funny that
we're in a post European football world, right? Like the name on the jersey is Arab Emirates fucking Airlines or whatever it is, and the actual name of the team is a little patch on their sleeve.
I mean, it drove me bonkers seeing that Nike shit on the jerseys as bad as it was, like as prominent as was. I cannot imagine. I mean, like, so I love collecting autograph photos is another one of my hobbies. And, just to see, like, I got the picture of David Bodie hitting that grand slam. I got a picture of Rizzo doing the tarp catch, just seeing all those and then imagining a bunch of patchwork shit on there is just garbage. I cannot stand the idea. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Imagining New Veen right across their chest.
Yeah. Gallagher on Miggy's grand slam. All you really notice is a big Tropicana. 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I agree with Crawley on this. I don't like the different ads. The Nike swoosh annoyed me too. All of this has annoyed me, but of the fucking things that they keep suggesting, this is the least terrible one in my opinion.
Well, and I don't know that they'll do it because aren't they going to cut into their jersey sales considerably? I mean, the Nike
No.
one, they bought that one, but it's this tiny little Nike swoosh, and you notice it, and it's noticeable. But if your whole thing is just like Tropicana orange juice, 7-Eleven, Burger King, McDonald's all over your body, like who's going to wear that? Like, you know what I mean?
Danny, soccer players.
Yeah, but
Soccer players, that's all they have. You see people wearing, I mean, you know, around here you don't see it.
Valspar. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see that shit all the time. I mean, it's not like they're inventing this.
Yeah.
It's been out there for a long time.
And if you looked at the thread last night, Meatball Mike was saying it's on the NBA jerseys, in which I reminded him I don't watch any other sport than baseball, so I didn't see it. But
now the NBA jerseys are very small. It's like a little sort of patch over on the thing. Now, one thing that could actually make the jersey more valuable in a resale fashion is if they, you know, because the Cubs haven't changed their jerseys in, 20 years or whatever it is. But if they switch from Nuveen to fucking Gallagher on their jersey, well, that one's a 2028 jersey, and that's a 2029 jersey. You can't get 2028 one anymore.
Nobody's going to wear that. No baseball fans are wearing that shit. I'm just saying. And then
the throwbacks are just going to be the actual jersey with taking off all the shit.
When Nike signed their exclusivity deal and Majestic was out, they had all the jerseys for like 50% off. I went crazy. I bought a bunch of fucking Majestic jerseys for half off.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want the Nikes at all.
Yeah, exactly. And
I love that Crawley's saying this. Fucking Nike swoosh right there on his throat. Just right in the camera. For anybody who's not watching, he's wearing the Nike swoosh on his Cubs shirt right now.
This is one of those whatchamacallit, the body wicking shirts that like kind of like you just wear under the jersey.
Look at I'm wearing. I'm wearing a shirt I made myself, except for that it's sold through Amazon. I even had to buy my own shirt.
Are you getting laid wearing that shirt?
Since we're showing.
What do you got?
I got
that's baby. The 69 jersey. Nice.
I got the 69 Santo on today because it's kind of chilly, but it's perfect weather for the fucking, wool jersey.
And then the other thing, and we've talked about this so much, how much we hate expanded playoffs, but unfortunately it seems like both sides are kind of for it because they make more money.
Right.
So both of them will make more money. So that's kind of like one place that they can unfortunately agree on, even though we think it ruins the sport overall.
Maybe we should get the Cubs to pay us to do this podcast because we have this shit on our hats. Like, I mean,
I'm sure Ricketts would love to spend money on stuff just that doesn't benefit him all as we sit there and rip on him all year.
We change our tune in.
Oh yeah,
I don't know, a couple.
I've
10 grand.
Said that you can buy. No, I could be the Jesse Rogers of podcasters. I was like, you buy me off just for access. You know what I mean? I work cheap. The other things though, I don't really want to talk about the expanded playoffs because we've already talked about that a bunch. But the big sticking points, and I thought this was interesting, and I had to think about it for a moment. Is like, why would they want that? Is obviously the players want less years to get to free agency. That seems like a big sticking point for the owners. They want to keep that thing at 30 years old, 29, 30. They want the 6 years of control. Players want 5. They want to dial back the age. They wanted to make it more age-based, I believe. And then, but they also don't want revenue sharing. The players don't want the owners to do revenue sharing anymore because it allows too many teams. They're trying to address tanking. The players are trying they're trying to address it. They want to the owners are saying they would do a minimum salary as long as they've got a threshold, but I haven't heard anything about that recently. But I thought it was interesting that they don't want revenue sharing because that dude doesn't have to put it. Ben Charrington or whatever the hell his name is from the Pirates, or is that the
well, he's not the owner, he's the president of baseball.
Whoever the freaking owner is. That guy, he could just sit back and collect the freaking revenue sharing money and not do shit.
Well, the other thing they were talking about is having an NBA style draft. Okay. And so, right now in baseball, the team with the worst record gets the number 1 draft pick. Well, if you're in basketball, you have the best odds if you have the worst record of getting the top draft pick, but you are not guaranteed that number one.
Yeah.
So there's a
It
risk
does-
involved.
Nobody cares. It's the fucking MLB draft. Nobody cares. They do it on a Wednesday afternoon in fucking June when there's
But you-
actual baseball going on. It's like the first thing they need to do with the draft is learn to fucking market it. You know, maybe actually get somebody excited about it before you worry about
Well,
like
it's
who's
hard to
picking
get
when.
it's hard to get excited because the players don't have an immediate impact for the most part.
You
But
can
ag-
make money on that broadcast if you just fucking market it. How often do we have no idea that there's even a
Not
draft
that much
happening?
because we're not even going to see him for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, oh, here's
Right.
this guy with glasses, and I guess I'll remember his name 5 years from now when he gets to double A.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and also Jan Gomes, great career in the major leagues, veteran catcher, been with a lot of teams, very respected around the league, drafted in the 39th round. You know what I mean? In an amateur draft. Like the actual players that play in the major leagues aren't all from the stupid, high school.
Right,
American.
That's
when
part of how you market this thing. Nobody
watch
leaves.
now and you'll see him in 10 years.
No. Nobody leaves. Once you start the draft, you go through 57 rounds. Nobody fucking leaves until all those players are gone. And you're live. You're watching these dudes who haven't slept in like 4 days and they're fucking all whacked out. And they're just like,
I just know that
I would love it.
when you watch the NFL draft and the Bears pick Justin Fields, everybody's talking. Everybody couldn't wait for him to be announced the starter. I mean, what did he go 2 games before he was starting?
Yeah.
And so it's just an immediate impact on your team, and that's what draws there. But again, by making sure that the worst teams don't automatically get the best pick, it's saying to the players that you can try tanking, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a number 1 pick.
well,
and it
right.
should-
But you could make some money for your, you could make some money for your single A people. I mean, there are teams out there. I mean, they'd get real excited in South Carolina to find out there was a good player coming there.
Not really. Nobody
Yeah.
cares. They don't know those guys. They just bring their kids out because it's freaking something to do in summer. It's like
Guys like me who brings the kids to get some extra bobbleheads.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Because they, right.
Just like it's not a thing. So I know
Crowley doesn't even take his kids anymore. He takes other people's.
either way,
kids.
they seem to be kind of far apart. I think the biggest sticking things is going to be the service time. I think that's the most important to everybody, and I don't know. I don't know that if there are canceled games, it's going to be because of that issue that they can't come to an agreement on the service time, and it's just a year that they're looking for. 5 years versus 6 years, 29 versus 31, or whatever it is. And I don't know, but the tanking thing, I think that's a really interesting approach to try to get teams to do the right thing and have competitive baseball. And I think it's interesting that the players are leading that charge. So
Okay.
good for them.
But the other thing I love about that is that because they are being sneaky here, right? They're saying no more revenue sharing. And that's fucking like candy to the Steinbrenners and the Ricketts and, all these guys who have expensive teams.
Potentially
yeah, we
trying
don't
to
wanna-
divide the owners.
Yeah, we don't want to give our money to fucking Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. But if you do that, if you have no revenue sharing, then there's no luxury tax, right? Because
Well, there's
the
going to be a luxury tax. They said
no,
that
but the luxury tax, that's the money that goes to these shit teams, right? So if you get rid
some
of
it, that's part of it.
where else is the money going?
Well, they're sharing no matter what.
Everything.
They're sharing luxury tax or not. They share everything anyway. The luxury tax is just part of that. I mean, and the owner said they'd go from 210 to 214 and then to 220, which
Right.
that's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing. But
That's like
I'm just saying that's a back door to getting rid of the luxury tax. And if you get rid of the luxury tax, then there's then we're back to the fucking glory days of the Steinbrenners.
There's no getting rid of the luxury
19
tax.
1990s Steinbrenner.
Yeah. No, they will get rid
Now,
of it, even though the players, and that's one that the owners actually don't mind. They kind of want to have the luxury tax. They don't want to
No,
have
they
those
absolutely
guys,
want it.
you know?
They're the ones that fucking
Yeah.
invented the thing because that allows them to have a reason not to pay these players. They're like, well, the Ricketts, we can't spend all this money because we've been the number 2 team in revenue. So
The salary.
now we have to go back in order to we have to tank in order to get under it so that we can start building again. Blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. The fucking owners want that luxury tax. And I love the idea that they're going to backdoor their asses and get rid of that shit.
Now, it is an exciting week for friend of the show, Bob Kendrick. If you don't know Bob from the Negro League Hall of Fame Museum, this week, what is it, Saturday? The 10-member panel voting on a number of players, including 7 Negro League players, including the great Buck O'Neil, first African-American coach in baseball of the Cubs. He was the coach for the Cubs, first African-American, responsible for scouting guys like Lee Smith and getting Ernie Banks to sign, saved Billy Williams' career, scouted Lou Brock, just a large number of players, and it's long overdue. And Minnie Minoso from the South Side, one of the first African-American player, I think the first African-American player for the Sox.
No, he was actually,
Cuban,
he was actually, they call him the Jackie Robinson for Latino players. Cause
yeah,
he
the
was
Cuban Comet.
He was the Cuban Comet. Yeah. He came from Cuba. He was the first like Latin American player to hit the big stage. So,
and when I was there when they dedicated the Ernie Banks statue, and I snuck into the VIP section, which is a story for a different day. But Minnie Minoso was there because him and Ernie Banks were such good friends. And it was, for me, just I was 5 feet away when Ernie saw Minnie and gave him just the biggest hug. It was just an awesome moment.
Yeah. And there are actually, there's 7 Negro League players up for the Hall of Fame in this voting right now. I mean, I listened to a podcast today, Black Diamonds. If you're not listening to Black Diamonds, that's the Bob Kendrick Negro Leagues Museum podcast about the Negro Leagues. It's absolutely wonderful. And they went through every player today when I'm walking around and just listening about all these guys. Go out and check that podcast out for sure. It's wonderful. But yeah. And good God, Buck O'Neil should have been in the first time. Yeah. Back in 2006, they did a special consideration and they brought 17 Negro League players into the Hall of Fame. Sadly, Buck O'Neil was not one of those. And yet they asked, after they told him he couldn't be in the Hall of Fame, they asked him
to induct him.
them.
Bob told the story on this show. He told us all about it. You know, I mean, Bob came on here last year, and he came on here years ago when I interviewed him a few years back, and it's one of the main stories he tells. And that, you know, just Buck O'Neil was such a great ambassador for the game. He really, I think, was a uniting factor between the Negro Leagues and the major leagues. And, you know, there's a lot of intangibles that I think he brought to the table. And he was a hell of a scout and a manager and a baseball player. He had so much talent, but he didn't have all the talent just in one area. You know, he just is probably most talented. His greatest contribution was bringing everybody together, and he kept doing that. So
Danny, I would say you're absolutely right with that in life and in baseball.
Yeah. I hope they announce it. And I got a few announcements myself. Cubs caroling is in 10 days. It's I
got my hat on. I'm ready.
December 11th, 5 p.m. We're going to meet at G-Man Tavern, and we're going to run through the set there. I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. That I would love to see all you guys there. This is a Cubs Insider article that I typed up yesterday, and it's got all the information about how you can hang out with us that night. Everybody's invited. Kids probably not so much because it's bar hopping.
Because you're going to bars. Yeah.
You could meet us when we're by Wrigley though, and bring the kids for a bit of it. You know,
we carol right by the ice rink. Yeah, for all the people, and people love to kind of see it. So
yeah, we'll be there by 6:30, 7. You know, we'll mosey over there. We'll see how it goes. And also I started Secret Ranter again, which is our version of Secret Santa. $25 gift maximum, minimum, whatever. Make it $25 around, that you're just going to spend on somebody. But it's a good fun thing we've done for a bunch of years in a row. We exchange gifts. Last year, it's hilarious. Last year, I haven't used it yet. I got a $20 gift certificate to the MLB shop. And I think what I'm going to do is buy this year's Secret Ranter partly
There you go.
with this right here, so works out good. So I'm paying it forward as it is. And then right after the show, which we're going to end right now, pretty much, come join us over at the Green Room app. Follow Son Ranto Show, and we're going to have a conversation that you can be a part of. Crawley, I know that we were going to talk about disappointing. We can still do it. Disappointing off seasons of the past. That was just an idea we were floating around on a text.
Well, I definitely think that disappointing off seasons of the past. And also, if you have ideas, if you want to talk about, I think people want to rant about these bad ideas that Crawley put out there on Twitter. I think we have some ideas, and Crawley is here to hear you just scream about them.
So download the Green Room app, follow us, Son Ranto Show, and we'll see you afterwards. But before we go, does anybody have any TFCs?
Oh, I have 2
cubes.
I have 2 flexing cubes. Am I the only one?
I got 1. So if you got 2, we said we were only going to do 1 from now on, Michael. Almost cool. All right, I'll just go.
Okay.
All right. I got an email from the Cubs the other day on Cyber Monday, okay, from Cubs.com. And they said, and season ticket holder waiting list, Cyber Monday at its finest. Join the waiting list today. Says, secure your free spot in our lineup for season tickets by joining the season ticket holder waiting list today. When Chicago Cubs season tickets become available, they will be offered to members of the waiting list. Don't miss your chance to be a part of must-see moments inside the friendly confines. Meanwhile, the White Sox are selling ticket packs at discounts. Other teams I've bought from other teams. They're like, hey, buy today. And it's 2-for-1 Thursdays. They had all these deals. And the Cubs are like, hey, maybe we'll let you spend $4,000 a ticket in the future. And then you take all the risk. There's your happy Cyber Monday. How tone deaf could these idiots be?
Yeah.
Send it out. We know about the list.
They should have at least waited until they signed Stroman to fucking put that out.
They're just, they're 2 different departments, Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, that was annoying. So the cube is me. The cube is the Cubs.
My first one here comes from a friend of the show, Joe Kilgallen. He says, baseball is depressing me right now. I'm going to take my mind off it by watching 9 hours of the world's greatest band slowly breaking up. I just thought that was hilarious.
My airdrop, for whatever reason, is not working, but Will Salmon is one of the beat writers for the Brewers. And he says, Brewers say they non-tender Daniel Vogelbach and John Curtis. And our friend Decipio.com said Cubs couldn't afford to feed Daniel Vogelbach.
That's true. That's awesome.
It is. You got the craft services as union here. Just cost too much. So I got 2 songs to end the show. One was that I wrote it a few days ago. I released it to the Patreon people. By the way, thank you to our Patreon people. You guys get stuff first. You always get the podcast early. You get all the music early. We have special things throughout the season for the Patreon people. So please join at patreon.com/sunranto. But I released this to those people first, and then things started to thaw a little bit. So maybe this diatribe, I got 2 Christmas songs. This diatribe against Tom Ricketts is unnecessary at this point, but it's a good fucking song, so I'm going to play it anyway. And then I wrote a song right before the show. In 5 minutes, I wrote and recorded a song, and I'm debuting it tonight. It's a parody of Let It Snow called We Got Stro. And we'll see you on the Green Room app right now. So, spagog, everybody.
Spagog!
Spagog!
Fuck yourself, you cheap bastard Tom Ricketts, saying money's tight. Cubs are hiking up the ticket price. Fuck yourself, you cheap bastard, Tom Ricketts. Buy a team today. Cub fans deserve more considering what we pay. Said Marquis make a better team. We won't be booing next year. Then he stops spending on the Cubs as the price goes up for beer. Wish Tom wasn't such a stingy owner, a miserly clown. Said you'd never have to tear the whole team down. So fuck yourself, you cheap bastard, Tom Ricketts. Now. Merry Christmas. Thought our best days were behind us, but then the Cubs surprised us. Ricketts started spending dough. We got tro, we got tro, we got tro. I didn't think we were trying. No big free agent signings, but now we're not gonna blow. We got tro, we got tro, we got tro. A pitcher who throws lots of strikes, won't give up a lot of walks. He's a fierce and tenacious guy, kicks other teams in the balls. Cub fans have a real good reason to watch the Cubs next season. Wrigley's gonna explode. We got tro, we got tro, we got tro. We got tro, we got tro, we got tro. We got tro, we got tro, we got tro. We got him! We're not gonna suck.